This story is titled, My Wife Said, You're Nothing More Than a Co-Parent, Not My Real Match. So I became exactly that, detached, indifferent, and unavailable, but when she finally noticed, it was already too late. Hey Reddit, throwaway for obvious reasons. Never thought I'd be sharing this story here, but I've been lurking in this sub for a while and think maybe my experience could help someone else going through the same bullshit. I, 36 male, met Sarah, 34 female, during sophomore year of college. She was this gorgeous psychology major with fiery opinions about everything, always talking about breaking gender norms and dismantling the patriarchy and shit like that. I was more practical, business major, working two jobs to pay my way through school without debt. Despite being different, we clicked. I found her passion attractive at first, and she seemed to appreciate my stability. We dated through college, moved in together after graduation, and got married at 27. Had twins, boy and girl Ethan and Emma, at 29. After college, I landed a job at a financial firm, worked my ass off, putting in insane hours, staying late, bringing work home on weekends, the whole deal. Eventually made senior portfolio manager. Good money, but exhausting. Meanwhile, Sarah bounced between careers, started in HR, quit to try marketing, then decided to be a freelance writer, focusing on women's issues. That last one never actually made money, but she insisted it was her passion and that I should support her dreams. Her blog became her identity. It was all about empowering women to break free from societal expectations and recognizing toxic relationship patterns. The irony of this will become clear soon. While I was building my career and supporting our family, she was busy going to networking events and women's circles and running her blog that maybe 50 people read. I don't want to sound bitter, but looking back, I was handling most of the household stuff too. Getting up with the kids, making breakfast, helping with homework, attending school events. Not because I was some amazing dad, but because someone had to do it, and she was always too busy finding herself. So that's where we were when this all went down. Me working 50 to 60-hour weeks, handling most of the parenting, while she built her brand and complained I wasn't emotionally available enough. It all happened on a completely normal Tuesday evening. Nothing special about the day. I just put the twins to bed after working a 12-hour day. I was exhausted, but had managed to help Ethan with his science project and read Emma her favorite story before they fell asleep. I came downstairs and found Sarah in the kitchen, rinsing a plate at the sink. I was thinking about maybe watching an episode of something together before bed, one of the few activities we still shared. That's when she just dropped it on me. You're nothing more than a co-parent to me, Tom. Not my real match. Fucking gut punch. You know that feeling when all the air leaves your body at once? This was worse. Way worse. Her voice was so calm. Like she was telling me we needed more dish soap or something. Not like she was throwing away 10 years of marriage with a single sentence. I just stood there like an idiot, staring at the back of her head. She didn't even turn around, just kept washing that stupid plate like nothing had happened. So that's how you see me, I managed to say. My voice sounded weird, like it belonged to someone else. She shrugged, literally shrugged, and said, I think we both know this hasn't been a real marriage for a long time. You don't challenge me intellectually. You don't really get what I need as a woman in today's world. The worst part wasn't even what she said. It was how she said it. No emotion. No regret. Nothing. Like I was just some random dude she had to deal with because we happened to have kids together. Not the man who'd spent the last decade supporting her through 3 different career changes, who paid for her finding herself retreats, who kept the household running while she worked on her blog that never made a single dollar. I want a partner who can match my energy and understand my journey, she continued, finally turning to face me. Someone who challenges me and appreciates my growth. I've evolved so much in the past few years, and you're still, well, you're still the same. The same? I had gone from entry-level analyst to senior portfolio manager. I had learned to be a father. I had supported her through every whim and passion project. But apparently that wasn't growth. I'm not saying we need to end things, she added, seeing my expression. The kids need stability. We can still co-parent effectively. I just think we should be honest about what this relationship really is. She said it like she was doing me a favor. Like her honesty was some gift I should be grateful for. Like telling me I was nothing more than a glorified babysitter and ATM was an act of kindness. I didn't explode, didn't cry, didn't beg. I just nodded and said, I see. Then I walked out of the kitchen. I heard her call after me, Tom, aren't we going to talk about this? But what was there to talk about? She had made her position crystal clear. That night, I couldn't sleep for shit. Just laid there staring at the ceiling, replaying the last few years in my head. When did it happen? When did I become nothing to her? The signs were all there, I was just too stupid or too busy or too in denial to see them. The way she used to light up when I walked in the room, gone. Those random texts during the day with stupid jokes or songs that reminded her of me, gone. The touches, the real kisses, not just the automatic peck on the cheek, all gone. When was the last time she actually asked about my day and really listened? Not just that how was work bullshit people say when they're going through the motions. When was the last time she had gone out of her way to do something nice for me? When was the last time she defended me when her friends started talking shit about their husbands, grouping me in with them? I started thinking about how often she was on her phone around me, always scrolling Instagram, sharing posts about outgrowing people and the courage to be authentic, always tagging her posts with shit like number know your worth and number never stop growing. Meanwhile, I was the one who got up with the kids when they had nightmares, made their lunches, took them to soccer practice, helped them with math homework, all while working 50+ hours a week. Her smiles, her real excitement, her energy, it was all saved for other people now. Her progressive friends who were always telling her she deserved more. Her life coach who charged $200 an hour to tell her she was settling. The women in her online communities who validated every selfish thought she had. Anybody but me. I'd been telling myself she was just stressed, tired, busy with life, making excuses because I couldn't face the truth. But now I couldn't ignore it anymore. She hadn't fallen out of love overnight. She'd been showing me for years that I was nothing more than a convenience to her. I just didn't want to see it. The worst realization came around 3 a.m. I had spent years trying to make her happy, worked harder, helped more, tried to support her dreams, all while she moved the goalposts and found new reasons I wasn't enough. No matter what I did, it would never be enough because she had decided I wasn't enough. It wasn't about my actions, it was about her perception. And that's when I decided I was done trying. The next morning, I got up before her as usual, made breakfast for Emma and Ethan, packed their lunches, all that dad stuff. When Sarah came down in her silk robe that I bought her for our anniversary, I didn't say shit, didn't ask how she slept, didn't comment on the weather. Nothing. She noticed, kept glancing at me like she was waiting for something. Probably thought I was going to beg her to love me or some pathetic crap like that. Maybe apologize for not challenging her intellectually enough, or promise to be more invested in her journey. But I was done. If she saw me as nothing more than a co-parent, then fine. That's exactly what I'd be. Nothing more, nothing less. "You're quiet this morning," she finally said, trying to sound casual. I just shrugged. "Got a lot on my mind. Work stuff." "Do you want to talk about what I said last night?" she asked, leaning against the counter with her coffee mug. "I think it's important we get on the same page." "We're on the same page," I replied, not looking up from making Ethan's sandwich. "You were very clear." "Tom, I wasn't trying to hurt you," she said, her voice taking on that condescending tone she used when she thought she was being emotionally intelligent. "I was just being honest about where I am right now." "I appreciate the honesty," I said flatly. Now we both know where we stand. I could tell she was confused by my reaction. She had expected tears or anger or desperate promises to be the man she wanted. Instead, she got calm acceptance. And that threw her completely off script. I dropped the kids at school and went about my day with this new mindset. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was just the father of her kids. That's it. No more doing her favors. No more listening to her drone on about how hard her day was rearranging the living room furniture or writing another post for her blog. That night, when she got home from her women's empowerment meeting, which I later found out was just her and her friends complaining about their husbands, I was helping the kids with homework. She came in, tossed her designer bag on the chair that I paid for, and waited, like she expected me to ask about her meeting or something. I just stood up, told the kids I'd be in my office if they needed anything, and walked out. The look on her face, priceless. In my office, I opened my laptop and created a new document. I titled it Exit Strategy. Then I made a list of everything I needed to do to protect myself and the kids. First item, call a lawyer. So that became our new normal. No more small talk. No more checking in during the day. No more doing little favors for her. Dinner was about the kids. I'd talk to them, laugh with them, but not with her. If she spoke directly to me, I'd answer politely but briefly. "How was your day?" she'd ask. "Fine." That's it. No details. "Did you see that email from Emma's teacher?" "Yes, already handled it." End of conversation. I started making my own plans on weekends. Sometimes I'd take the kids out without even telling her where we were going. She'd text asking where we were, and I'd wait like an hour before replying with some short answer like, "Out with the kids, back later." I also started taking better care of myself. Sarah had made little comments over the years about how I'd let myself go after the kids came, even though I was the one getting up at 5 a.m. to squeeze in work before the kids woke up, making sure everyone had breakfast, and generally keeping our lives running. But she was right about one thing. I had neglected myself, so I started hitting the gym during lunch breaks, started eating better, got a new haircut, bought some new clothes that actually fit well, lost about 30 pounds over a couple months, put on some muscle. Nothing dramatic, just taking care of myself for me, not to impress her. I also reconnected with friends I hadn't seen much in recent years, grabbed lunch with college buddies, joined a weekend basketball league, started living like someone who had a life beyond being Sarah's husband and the twins' dad. The first Saturday, I took the kids out alone. She was sitting on the couch when we got home, pretending to look at her phone but actually watching videos about setting boundaries with men or some shit. "Where'd you go?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Out," I said, dropping the keys. "Kids wanted to do something, so we went." Her lips got all tight. "Would have been nice to know. As their mother, I should be informed about where my children are." I just shrugged. "Didn't think it mattered. You're usually too busy with your blog to join us anyway." "That's not fair," she said, sitting up straighter. "My work is important too." "Sure it is," I replied, not arguing. "Kids, go wash up before dinner." As they ran upstairs, she followed me into the kitchen. "What's going on with you? You've been acting weird ever since our talk." "Nothing's going on," I said, pulling out ingredients for dinner. "Just being a co-parent like you wanted." "That's not what I meant and you know it," she said, crossing her arms. I looked at her directly for the first time in days. "What did you mean, Sarah? Because you're nothing more than a co-parent to me seems pretty clear." She huffed. "I meant that our relationship has evolved. That doesn't mean we can't still be partners in other ways." "Right," I nodded. "Partners. Like roommates who share kids." Got it. That was the first crack in her perfect little plan. She thought she could emotionally check out of our marriage, treat me like an ATM and a babysitter, but still have the benefits of a husband when it suited her. She was starting to realize that wasn't how it worked. Meanwhile, I had my first consultation with a lawyer. I didn't mention it to Sarah, of course. I just wanted to know where I stood legally. To my surprise, the lawyer thought I had a good case for at least 50-50 custody, possibly more given my involvement in the kids' lives. She advised me to start documenting everything. Every school event I attended that Sarah missed. Every doctor's appointment I took the kids to. Every time I was the one helping with homework. So that's what I did. I created a detailed log with dates and times. I saved emails from teachers addressing questions to me rather than Sarah because they knew I was the responsive parent. I kept track of everything, just in case. I also started putting aside money in an account Sarah didn't know about. Not hiding assets. Everything would be disclosed during a divorce if it came to that, but making sure I had financial resources that were just mine. The lawyer assured me this was legal, as long as I wasn't using joint funds or hiding money that should be considered marital property. It took a while, but Sarah started to notice the difference. She'd try to start conversations about her day, or something profound she read online. I'd just nod or give one-word answers. She tried wearing sexier outfits around the house. Too little, too late. I also noticed how she suddenly started caring about things I was doing. When I mentioned to the kids I was thinking about taking them skiing in the winter, she piped up, "That sounds fun. I've always wanted to learn to ski." I just nodded and continued my conversation with Emma and Ethan, completely ignoring her attempt to include herself. One night, about 6 weeks into this new arrangement, I was reading a book on the couch when she sat down next to me, closer than she had in months. "You've lost weight," she observed, her eyes scanning me up and down. "Yep," I replied, not looking up from my book. "You look good," she said, her voice dropping a little. "Really good." "Thanks." Still not looking up. "Tom," she said, placing her hand on my arm. "Can we talk? I feel like there's this wall between us lately." I finally looked at her. "What do you want to talk about?" "Us," she said, looking relieved that she'd gotten my attention. "I feel like you've completely withdrawn from me." "I'm just respecting the parameters you set," I said calmly. "You made it clear what I am to you. I'm adjusting accordingly." "I think you misunderstood what I was trying to say," she backpedaled. "I never meant that I don't care about you or that I don't value our relationship." I closed my book. "What did you mean then when you said I'm nothing more than a co-parent to you? What possible interpretation of that should I have taken?" She faltered. I was trying to be honest about feeling disconnected. I didn't mean it should stay that way forever." "Well, I've had some time to think about it, and I realized you were right," I said, standing up. "We are just co-parents, and that's all we need to be for the twins' sake." I walked away, leaving her sitting there. For the first time, she was the one watching me go. Then one night she came home looking all irritated after seeing one of her friend's social media posts about a romantic vacation. I was in the living room reading a book, looking better than I had in years. And she just stood there like she was waiting for me to acknowledge her. "You've been acting weird for weeks," she finally said. I looked up from my book. "Weird how?" "I don't know. Just different. Distant. It's like you're not even trying to make our relationship work." I closed my book. "I thought this is what you wanted." She blinked like I'd slapped her. "What?" "You said we're just co-parents," I reminded her, keeping my voice flat. "So that's what I'm doing. Parenting. Everything else is irrelevant, right? Isn't that what you and your empowerment group are always talking about? Being your authentic self?" She just stared at me, opened her mouth to say something, then stopped. That told me everything I needed to know. She hadn't expected this. She thought I'd chase after her, beg for her attention, keep trying to win her back while she kept treating me like shit. Instead, I'd given her exactly what she asked for, and now she was the one who didn't know how to handle it. "This isn't what I wanted," she finally said, her voice quiet. "I wanted us to work on our relationship, not give up on it." "Funny way of showing it," I replied. Telling someone they're nothing more than a co-parent doesn't usually inspire them to invest more emotionally. "I was frustrated," she said, sitting down across from me. "I felt like you weren't hearing me when I talked about feeling unfulfilled. And now I hear you loud and clear," I said. Message received. She looked at me for a long moment. "So that's it? After 10 years of marriage? You're just checking out?" The irony was so thick I almost laughed. I learned from the best. After that night, things changed again. She started watching me, listening more, trying to figure out what was going on. She'd hesitate before speaking, like she was choosing her words carefully. She was waiting for me to crack, to break this new routine. But I didn't. She started trying to get my attention in little ways, asking if I wanted something from the store, mentioning shows we used to watch together, getting more direct, wearing the lingerie that had been collecting dust in her drawer, talking about how important male energy was in the house. Complete 180 from her usual "men are the problem" bullshit. I noticed she'd stopped posting all those passive-aggressive quotes about outgrowing relationships and knowing your worth on social media too. Funny how that works. One evening after the kids were in bed, she cornered me in the kitchen while I was cleaning up. "You really don't care, do you?" she asked. "About what?" I said, putting the last dish in the rack. She let out this frustrated breath. "About any of this. About us." I just looked at her and shrugged. "There is no us." Her jaw got tight. "So that's just it? You're fine with things being like this?" I dried my hands and looked her straight in the eyes. "No, but I've accepted it. You made it clear how you see me. I'm just doing the same." "That's not what I meant when I said that," she said, all defensive. I almost laughed. "Isn't it? You've spent the last few years treating me like I'm nothing but a checkbook and occasional babysitter. You and your friends sit around talking about how men are useless while I'm the one doing everything to keep this family going. Well, congratulations. You convinced me that we're just co-parents. That's all we'll ever be now." "Tom, please," she said, and I could see tears forming in her eyes. "I made a mistake. I was just lashing out because I felt ignored." Ignored? Now I did laugh. "Sarah, I have bent over backwards for you for years. I supported every career change, every hobby, every finding yourself phase. I've been the one keeping this family functioning while you were busy posting inspirational quotes on Instagram. So don't talk to me about feeling ignored." She wiped at her eyes. "I know I've made mistakes. We both have. But don't we owe it to ourselves? To the kids? To try and fix this?" "The time to fix it was before you decided I was just a co-parent," I said. "You don't get to downgrade someone and then be surprised when they stop treating you like a priority." She wanted to argue, but couldn't. She knew I was right. She'd been the one to kill whatever we had. She'd spent so long convincing herself I was just playing a role in her life that didn't matter. And now that I'd stopped trying, now that I'd removed myself emotionally, she was realizing what that actually meant. She expected me to chase her, to fight for a place in her life she'd already written me out of. But when I didn't, she was the one feeling the distance. Over the next few weeks, her efforts to reconnect intensified. She started cooking my favorite meals, asking about my day and actually listening, offering to take care of the kids so I could have me time, suggesting date nights, initiating physical contact, but it was too late. I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. I couldn't unfeel what I'd felt when she so casually dismissed our entire relationship. Every time she tried to get close, I remembered her words, her tone, the way she couldn't even be bothered to turn around when she told me I was nothing to her. The final straw came when I overheard her on the phone with one of her friends. "I don't know what to do," she was saying, voice low. "He's completely different. It's like he flipped a switch. No, that's the thing. He's not even angry. He's just gone. Emotionally gone. I know. I've tried everything. Of course I apologized. Well, I said I was just frustrated and didn't mean it. No, he's not buying it. I don't know what I'll do if he actually leaves. Yes, I know that's what I was talking about before, but I didn't actually want a divorce. I just wanted him to pay more attention to me. That confirmed everything. Her honesty about our relationship had just been a manipulation tactic. She thought if she threatened my place in her life, I'd work harder to please her. Instead, I called her bluff, and now she was panicking. I stepped away before she could see me. I didn't need to hear more. I already knew what I had to do. After 3 months of this new reality, I decided it was time for the final move. No need for drama or big emotional scenes, just clarity and the ultimate mic drop. One night after the kids were asleep, I sat across from Sarah at the kitchen table with a manila folder. "We need to talk," I said. She looked up from her phone, maybe even looking hopeful. "Yeah, I want a divorce." I expected something. Anger, resistance, tears. I don't know. But what I got was silence. She just sat there staring at me like she couldn't process what I'd said. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet. "Are you serious?" I nodded. "Completely." Then I slid the folder across to her. "What's this?" she asked, opening it slowly. "Divorce papers. Already filled out. And a few other things you should know." Inside was not just the divorce paperwork, but statements from our accounts. While she'd been busy finding herself, I'd been quietly preparing. I'd moved 75% of my recent bonuses to accounts she didn't know about. I documented every time she'd chosen her self-care over the kids. I had records of all the times I was the one who showed up for school events while she was at her retreats. Most importantly, I had a letter from my lawyer explaining that given my income and the custody arrangement I was proposing, me with primary custody, she would likely be paying me child support, not the other way around. Her face went white. "You can't be serious. The courts always favor the mother. Not when the mother has barely been present," I said calmly. "I've been documenting everything for months. The kids' teachers know me, not you. I'm the one who takes them to doctor appointments. I'm the one who helps with homework. You're too busy with your blog and your journey to be a present parent." I pulled out my phone and showed her the calendar app where I'd meticulously tracked every school event, doctor's appointment, and parent-teacher conference for the past 6 months, noting who attended each one. "The custody evaluator is going to take one look at this and see who's actually been parenting these kids," I said. "And it's not you." But I need time to figure things out," she stammered. "You know my blog is about to take off. My life coach says I'm on the verge of a breakthrough." "Yeah, you've been saying that for 3 years now. Meanwhile, I've been promoted twice and saved enough to put the kids through college. What exactly have you contributed besides Instagram posts about how oppressed you are?" Her eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time. Not the fake ones she used whenever I wouldn't buy her something she wanted. "Tom, please. We can work this out." I didn't mean what I said that night. I was just frustrated. I leaned back. "Why now? The thought of losing your meal ticket finally sinking in?" "It's not about the money," she protested. "I love you. I've always loved you." That almost made me laugh. "You haven't looked at me with anything but contempt for years. Until I stopped giving a shit. Suddenly you care? Please. Tom, think about the kids," she pleaded. "They need both of us together. They need parents who respect each other," I corrected her. "And you've made it clear you don't respect me. You've made it clear I'm just a co-parent to you. So that's what we'll be. Co-parents, separately." "I'll fight this," she said, her tone shifting from pleading to threatening. "I'll get a lawyer. I'll tell them you've been planning this for months, hiding money." "Go ahead," I interrupted. "Everything I've done is legal. I've consulted with 3 different lawyers to make sure of it. And by the way, that threat you just made? I recorded it." I tapped my phone, which had been sitting on the table the whole time. "One-party consent state. Threatening to make false claims during divorce proceedings doesn't look good in court." Her face crumpled. She knew she was beaten. The next few days were pathetic. She tried everything. Crying. Begging. Suddenly, she was the perfect wife. Cooking dinner, asking about my day, trying to get me to sleep in our bed again. I'd been in the guest room for weeks. She even told her feminist friends to go fuck themselves when they started in on their usual man-hating bullshit. One of them called to ask if I'd done something to her because Sarah had defended me so aggressively. The final blow came when I took the kids to meet with the real estate agent about selling the house. Sarah wasn't included in the meeting. When she found out, she completely lost it. "You can't sell our house without me," she screamed. "Actually, I can," I said calmly. "Check the deed. It's in my name. Your credit was too poor to be on the mortgage, remember? Because of all those credit cards you maxed out on self-care? I showed her the deed. Her name wasn't on it. We had talked about adding her after her credit improved, but she had never gotten around to sorting out her finances. She collapsed on the couch, sobbing. What am I supposed to do? Where will I go? I shrugged. Not my problem anymore. We're just co-parents, remember? And barely that, considering how little parenting you actually do. A week later, she showed up at my office, begged me to reconsider, said she'd do anything. Couples therapy, quit her blog, get a real job, whatever I wanted. It's too late, I told her. You decided I wasn't worth loving years ago. You just didn't expect me to eventually agree with you. The divorce proceeded quickly. Sarah didn't contest it. She couldn't afford a lawyer who could match mine, and she knew the evidence wasn't in her favor. The judge awarded me primary physical custody, with Sarah getting every other weekend and one dinner visit per week. The look on her face when the judge announced his decision was something I'll never forget. Pure shock. She had been so convinced that being a mother automatically meant she'd get the kids, regardless of her actual parenting. Reality hit her hard. As for the house, it sold for more than I expected. I used my portion to buy a nicer place closer to the kids' school. 3 bedrooms, a big backyard, a proper office where I could work from home some days to be more available for the twins. Sarah ended up in a small 1-bedroom apartment across town. She had to get a real job for the first time in years, some entry-level admin position that barely covered her rent. Her blog remained a hobby that no one read. The first time she dropped the kids off after her weekend with them, I saw her looking around my new house with envy. It was everything she had wanted. Open floor plan, modern kitchen, the works. But it wasn't hers anymore. The kids seem to like it here, she said, trying to sound casual. They do, I confirmed. They've each got their own room, and there's a park down the street. She nodded, shifting awkwardly. Listen, Tom, I've been thinking a lot about everything. I made a huge mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I took you for granted, and I'm paying for it every day. I just looked at her. Yes, you are. Is there any chance at all that we could try again? For the kids? For us? Her eyes were pleading. I shook my head. There is no us, Sarah, remember? We're just co-parents now. That's all we'll ever be. The words hit her exactly as they had hit me all those months ago. I watched the hope drain from her face, replaced by the realization that she had done this to herself. I'll pick them up Wednesday for dinner, she said finally, voice hollow. 6 p.m., I confirmed. Don't be late. I closed the door and turned back to my kids. My home, my life. A life that was finally mine again. Update. It's been 2 years since the divorce. I'm in a good place now. The kids are thriving. They're 11 now, doing great in school, active in sports and other activities. I'm dating a pediatric nurse I met at one of Ethan's doctor appointments. She's everything Sarah wasn't. Supportive, present, genuinely interested in both me and the kids. Sarah? Last I heard, she had to move to an even smaller apartment. Her blog finally died a quiet death. Her feminist friends abandoned her when she couldn't afford to go to brunches and workshops anymore. She calls me sometimes, usually after she's had a bad date or a hard day, crying about how she made the biggest mistake of her life. And I just say, I know, but we're just co-parents now. That's all we'll ever be. The kids still see her every other weekend, but even they have noticed the difference. Mom's always on her phone when we're there, Emma told me once. Not like here where we actually do stuff together. That's the real victory for me. Not the house, not the money, not even seeing Sarah face the consequences of her actions. It's knowing that my kids see and appreciate a parent who's actually present and engaged in their lives. So that's my story, Reddit. If you're in a similar situation, being taken for granted, being treated like you're nothing more than a convenience in someone else's life, know that you deserve better. You deserve to be valued. And sometimes the only way to show someone your worth is to remove yourself from the equation. Karma's a bitch, ain't it? Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Thanks for all the awards and support, bros. To answer the most common questions, yes, this is all legal. Consult a good lawyer and document everything if you're in a similar situation. No, I don't feel bad for her. She made her choices. Yes, the kids are doing great. Kids need stability and attention, not Instagram perfect family photos. Edit 2. For those asking about the financial stuff, talk to a financial advisor ASAP if you think your marriage is heading south. There are legal ways to protect yourself that don't count as hiding assets. Don't wait until it's too late. Edit 3. No, I'm not bitter. I've moved on. Writing this out was actually therapeutic. And yes, Jessica, the nurse I'm dating, knows all about